side of not actually using pen and paper. That one.
Oh, technology.
1 step forward, 2 steps back.
And then the rest.
Hello! Episode 7, back
Yay.
again. Woo. Recording a bit earlier. So
We are. It's midweek and
Yeah.
we were out on a school night.
I'm more awake than I usually am.
I am
It's
and
amazing.
I'm not, you know.
Yeah. You have what dog?
Well, yeah. Yeah, 'cause that's my excuse. Not that, like, 9 hours in work today, the dog walk, that's what really finished me off.
Yeah. Whoa. It's a crazy dog.
Well, he's such a big dog. The massive dog that I own.
Oh, I was thinking of what we could do with the podcast, and I was like, oh, maybe we could do a video podcast. I went, no, I'm already behind on doing the video versions of these. I was like, oh, it would be something else to be behind on. And then I
Because
just,
we've got enough of that.
yeah. And then I was like, oh, we should have one where you bring the dogs or something. And then I went, oh, we should just do one where you record the dogs.
Yeah, just put the dogs in the chair.
Just record the dogs on video while we talk in the background.
Yeah.
So you get a podcast.
And the dogs. Yeah. We could bring, like, Charlie's box, because he loves that box. He does have proper toys as well. I'm not really mean to the dog. He loves a box. I don't know what it is.
I'm sure he's not a cat.
Well, no, he has a hatred of cats. You can't say the word cat in our house. That will get you in trouble. It's almost as bad as saying the word walk. Which will get you mobbed.
So, what have you been up to this week? I know you said that you've not had time to read.
I'm not. No, I've been writing. that's the
true.
thing. Had you spoken to me on Sunday or even Monday evening, I would be able to tell you I was caught up on NaNoWriMo. Today, less so. But I'm not as behind as I have been known to be. So it could be worse. But to be honest, that has been taking quite a lot of time at the moment. So yeah, I've not really been reading much.
That's understandable. Well, seeing as we're on the subject, we'll do NaNoWriMo update now.
Okay, cool.
So how is it going then? Like,
it's going okay.
I've been a little bit behind.
I've gotten to that point because I'm now. We've got about 10, 11 days. 10 days. Yeah, it's the 20th today, isn't it? Yeah. We've got 10 days left from where we're recording from. I have got, I think, about 19,000 words left to go. I'm just having that panic that I'm not going to come up with enough thought to fill the words, which is, I think, quite a normal panic to go through. But that's where I am right now in the grand scheme of things. I'm like, oh, but it started so well and I had so many ideas and now I've got so many pages left to fill.
So I hit this wall last year, and the thing that I had to kind of just stop, spend a day not writing but planning the
next bit.
The last week and a half, just to go, what is happening? Where am I going? Because it's like we said last time, you said, I want to have words, but I don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
So, don't know what to do. But other than that, are you happy, you think?
I am. It's turning out better than I thought it would. Although I'm concerned that basically I've gone for first person. I've never written first person before. But it does switch. So every chapter switches. So it's either, and bear in mind, my 14-year-old self named these characters. It will either be Shadow, Shadows on even number chapters, and then Nightshade on odd number chapters. And I'm now thinking that actually I've probably not differentiated their inner voices very well. I think they might be both sounding like me for obvious reasons. But yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm really enjoying writing it because this is so stupid, but I've done this thing where I've written it at the moment and it's all single spaced and quite small and not formatted properly, because I love that moment when you change the formatting and suddenly you're the book just goes, ta-da! You've written 150 pages and you're get in, I've actually written something decently long. But it's going quite well at the moment, but I'm in that bit now. I've done the it's like I've sort of done the setup and I'm not at the ending yet. I'm in that kind of bridging bit of the book, which is really hard to make exciting. And even though I've got a lot of stuff that needs to happen, it's I don't know, it's hard to kind of get that sense of time passing and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm struggling a bit, but I'm sure I'm not the only person having a stress over it at the moment.
Yeah, at first person, it's a really hard thing to do. Every time I go think of a new project, I go, maybe this time I'll do first person, because I'm sure once I got going, I think I'd be quite good at the voice of it.
Yeah.
But I just go, but if I did that, then I couldn't do from their point of view, because I'm very into multiple points of view. And
yeah. It's hard,
so,
isn't it, to make yourself stick with one character in a scene?
Very hard. That's what Alcon was supposed to be. It's supposed to be sticking to one point of view, and then obviously it changed. And the thing is, it was an epic fantasy, so I stuck with the main character as long as possible. But it naturally spread out.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to rein that back in.
It happens. What can you do? But how are you still going for the sequel? Are you still kind of editing all over the place?
Well, if you followed me on Tumblr or Twitter or wherever, I posted an announcement that I quit.
You quit?
I quit.
Oh, okay.
Because I basically took a photo of a massively thick manuscript saying this is the reason why, because that was Darwin's solution.
Yeah.
And I kind of decided, no, this is stressing me out too much. I'm writing a book that I'm not feeling that great about. I can't get passionate about this because I know I've got 2.5 books sat that want editing and finishing.
Yeah.
So the trade-off was that on the weekend I printed off about 170 odd pages of manuscript.
Gosh.
And that's not double spaced.
Oh, you single spaced it? Oh no, that is long.
That's a big book.
How many words is that? Do you know?
Don't know.
It's got to be way over 100,000.
Yeah,
that kind of.
I think it was about 120,000.
Wow.
And then 40 odd pages of rewrites.
Wow, okay,
Yeah.
so this is intensive then.
Took it to the kitchen table, cleared a space, and then started sorting through, organising, because I wasn't sure where I was up to, and I thought the only way to do it is to have it in paper, so I can see what's going where. So I'd realised in the rewrites I'd put the same scene twice.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to copy in from the original to paste bits together. And so, the scissors were coming out.
I love it.
Frit stick.
It's the post-its. As
Yeah.
soon as you get in there with post-it notes, like, and then this needs a scene here.
And then I was like, okay, I'm dropping this huge chapter and then another huge chapter. Chapters I really like, but I went, no, streamlining.
Yeah, I don't need you. You're not
rid of
necessary.
Because there was a chapter that I put in to kind of... Because there's a scene where they get offended by what Freya's done, or what is revealed about her, to not ruin it. And I thought, they have no right to be offended, they barely know her, so I put a scene in where they do something together, so she's more of a friend. But
yeah, okay.
Now they meet her right at the start, so there wasn't any need for it. Dropped the whole thing, and now I know I need to write a little bridging scene, and then I'll read through and just start taking notes and edit.
Because this is the thing. I think this is our experience of desperately trying to write a readable novel.
Mm.
It's never your last draft. You think it is. You think you're there. No.
Yeah.
No, not even close. Sorry to crush your dreams if you're out there trying to write, but you think you're on your last draft. No, you're not. Do another one. That's basically my experience.
Like, I think I could have maybe self-published it, or maybe put it on Fiction Press, and I'm sure people would have enjoyed it, but I just don't think it would have been as good.
Well, I like it. I've read the Darwin Solution. I enjoyed it. But I guess I'm a readership of one, so maybe that's not what you're aiming for in the long run.
So that was the trade-off. No more NaNoWriMo for me, which is a shame because, like we said last time, you suddenly produce so much more than you're used to, and it's really great, and there's such camaraderie, but I just went, no. This year, I've other priorities.
But that's only this year. You know,
Yeah.
that you've got camp coming up. If you're a total masochist who wants to do this twice a year.
Well, camp's brilliant because camp you can choose your own word count.
Yeah.
So what I did last year is because like I said last time, NaNoWriMo this time last year I wasn't actually working, so I could do Nano full time. But when it came to camp, I was working. So I went, right, chop the word count in half, and I was about 50,000 into another book. And I went, 25,000 will finish off the book, and it did, and then was enough for me to like start the next book after
Yeah.
that. So it was just perfect. So I really like camp. The only thing is that what they do is they put you into virtual cabins, so you're put in with 4 other people. So the point is that you're supposed to support each other through it.
Yeah.
So you can say, put me in a cabin with people like my own age or for my genre or whatever, or you can pick names and say, opt us in together.
Oh, I like that. I like the idea that they match you in terms of that. If you go looking for like a buddy on their website, it's very hard to narrow down to people. Like, say you were looking for people close, where you could pull up everybody for the city you're in, and you're like,
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
yeah. You can, but it's not very easy to get a small sample size of people who you think your interests may overlap with, and therefore would make a good buddy. So the whole like cabin idea might be a decent way around that, theoretically.
Yeah, it's hit and miss, because I ended up in a cabin and I think one person said hello, 3 of them were on 0 word count about a week in. And then I ditched it and then went for another, and then it was pretty much the same story, and then I gave up on the cabins altogether because people weren't saying much and it wasn't doing what it was supposed to. I don't know why they opted into a cabin if they weren't...
Yeah, if you weren't going to engage with... Well,
yeah.
Oh, the internet and its foibles. Well, I like that word, actually. I'm glad I used that in a sentence there,
yeah, so... Yeah, despite the fact I'm not doing Nano, I feel like I'm going in the right direction. So
it will be there next year.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of Nano. It waits.
Yeah. And I've been having a much more comfortable week this week. I was like, wasn't doing videos, no articles, so I was just like, okay, so cut away all this stuff that's been stressing me out and start again. And now I've got Stuart, the MCM editor, going, so who wants to review the Adventure Time game? I'm like, me. And then like a bunch of DVD reviews. I was like, oh, I'll review that.
Maybe I could do
like,
that.
I love that film. I'm reviewing that film. Yeah, so let's talk some book news after the writery.
Yeah, well, now we're caught up.
So we watched the Divergent trailer.
We did. I liked it.
It looks really cool.
It looks very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, we have notes about the content of the trailer, which is effectively like the film.
Yeah, this seems to be the trend nowadays.
Yeah.
This is only in the last maybe 2 or 3 years, I think, where trailers seem to take bits from each kind of arc, like each section of the film. So
more like kind of a time lapse, like a bit from every 10 minutes of the movie will go in the trailer.
You watch it and then you're like, well, I've seen the film now.
Yeah.
And that's what this was. So if you're looking forward to Divergent and you don't know what the contents of the book are, just don't watch the trailer. Just go watch the film.
Or watch about the first 10 seconds of the trailer.
Yeah.
That would be a good trailer if you don't know what's coming.
Yeah, chop it in half.
If you do know what's coming, it's a great trailer because there's nothing to spoil.
Yeah.
I think that I'm probably pronouncing this girl's name wrong, but Cheyenne Woodley, who is Triss, I think is going to be great because I've seen her in The Secret Life of the American Teenager, and I really loved her in that. I thought she was a surprisingly decent actress because I think she was about 15 when that show started. So like for someone to be acting convincingly is pretty damn awesome if you ask me. But it's really cool to see her in the trailer, and obviously you see her in whole like abnegation stuff at the start, and then suddenly in a scene she's got like the birds tattooed. You can see those sneaking in there, and you're just like, yeah, I like this. It's quite similar, in fact, to how I was picturing a lot of it, which is impressive.
I probably imagined them to be a bit more drab, though. I don't think they were quite drab. Maybe we didn't see enough, but the hair seemed a bit too shiny and sleek.
Well, she has got very shiny hair. But, like, their outfits, the abnegation outfits, seem to be in greys and whites, and I was like, oh, that's a bit too patterned from what I was thinking. And I have to be honest.
I pictured just, like, sacks, like, Hessian sacks.
Yeah.
Like...
yeah, I did. Shapeless grey. Like, and the bit where, I only briefly saw this in, like, a flash, but the bit of the Dauntless jumping off the train, I thought it looked a bit silly.
Do a roly-poly?
I was like, do a barrel roll! Like, it didn't look as badass as I think it's supposed to.
We'll get a lot more of that, I reckon. I think there'll be some badass moments.
I should hope so. 4, looking older than how old he's supposed to be in the book, like 17.
See, watching it from the trailer, this might be because films train you to look at things in a certain way.
Yep.
So it seemed like the gap was smaller than was announced. But
yeah, I would agree.
Like, the two actors look like they could actually be a couple, but at the same time, he's still like 20 odd and she's 17.
Yeah.
So,
you know, it's not a deal breaker. I note this. Yeah. I thought I'd comment on it to you guys. I also spent half the trailer going, is that Kate Winslet? Is Kate Winslet in this movie? Is that her? Which maybe that distracted from the overall trailer experience.
No, it looks good. I think we'll have to watch that and possibly podcast on that.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
Well, also we've got on the subject of YA novels and film adaptations. I believe Catching Fire is out tomorrow, if not today. It's very soon now. Quite excited about that one.
And how's Ender's Game?
Yes,
now?
Ender's Game has been and gone.
Oh, has it?
It has indeed.
Wow, that was fast.
I saw it. I ended up seeing it right at the very last minute. Surprisingly faithful to the book. Really, really impressively so. It did make changes, don't get me wrong. It didn't stick entirely to the book. But if you haven't read the book, it's reasonable enough. You could watch the film. It would give you a really good idea. Like, some of the humour is lost slightly. And it comes across as kind of exhausting in the film because whereas in the book you've got time to kind of breathe between training arcs and that kind of thing, in the film obviously it's quite, because I think it's only quite short. I think it's about an hour and a half. So it's quite, it's like the film is an incline, you know, it just, everything's keep getting like harder and more complicated and Ender's having to cope with more and more and more and it just builds throughout the movie. But yeah, totally recommend that one.
Cool. A little bit off topic, but if I'm going to throw out a recommendation, go on the Escapist, the game review site. So a little bit off topic.
Yeah.
But there's a guy on there called Movie Bob, and he does some really interesting videos. And he's got a review of Ender's Game, but he also did a video about because basically this is a subject we were thinking of talking about, of whether you should think about the artists themselves when you look at the art, because obviously there's elephant in the room. He's been very anti-gay and is like very big in the anti-gay movements and whatever. So it's a bit of a touchy subject. So you kind of think, do you want to look at this piece of art and ignore that, or do you want to include that in your criticism?
Yeah, should you boycott if you don't agree with?
But the conclusion he comes to is very interesting, and he puts it a lot more eloquently than I can. So yeah, I recommend that. It's pretty good. His basic conclusion was, include it, because there's no way, art's not in a vacuum. You can't ignore everything. And in fact, if you take everything into consideration, it gives you a more rounded view. It makes it a more interesting view.
Yeah. Well, I like the idea that no one person is entirely bad. You're never going to entirely
Yeah.
disagree with everything one person thinks. You're never going to entirely agree with everything one person thinks. Like, the thing that always springs to mind with this sort of thing is, I'm sure some of you guys have probably seen this as well, but Hitler was, as he so
I
often...
like where this podcast is going.
as he so often springs to mind. He did paintings.
Yeah.
He painted.
Yeah.
And his paintings are very nice. They're very pretty. I don't know anything about art, but I looked at that and went, that's a pretty painting. I appreciate this. There was then a caption at the bottom telling me I just appreciated the artwork of Adolf Hitler. So, that was a bit of a downer at the time.
Have you seen the pictures where they take quotes of Hitler but put it on Taylor Swift photos?
Oh, to make it... Yes.
And then there's the opposite, where they put Taylor Swift quotes on pictures of Hitler.
Oh, internet.
Yeah, you do amuse us greatly.
I had a serious point, and I've now tangented away from it.
I don't know. We started with Catching Fire. Do we want to come back to that?
Do you want to talk about Catching Fire? Do we have a point?
Just that it's coming out.
It is.
It's
And
on the way.
I'm looking forward to this one, because I have to say that of the three, my least favourite book was probably Mockingjay. Really liked The Hunger Games. Really liked Catching Fire. Personally, I didn't engage in the same way with Mockingjay. I didn't dislike it, but
That's the last one.
that's the last one.
Okay.
I mean, I guess part of that, I don't know, if I was looking on the simplest level, I guess part of it could be because there isn't a games in that book. But I think that maybe the characters' decisions and things, they were less clear to me. I didn't really like the progression as much throughout Mockingjay. It seemed a bit less kind of driven to the point, whereas it's a very straightforward kind of, like, the first book is kind of being like, okay, I've got to survive. The second book, she's firstly trying to keep her family safe, basically by going along with what the government wants. And then, of course, once the games come around again, it's you've got to survive. Yes, the revolution's kind of happening, but mostly that survival thing. And then I guess by the third book, it's gotten slightly more political. But I suppose you go from a state where Katniss is kind of the most powerful person on the page because she's the one in the games fighting for her life, to suddenly being almost like a chess piece in the revolution, which isn't to say she's not important, but it's not as, like, strong female protagonist in the same way.
See, that's what I quite like about her as a character, though. Like, she's not bothered about changing the world. She's not interested in starting a revolution. She just wants to win, to get home, to look after her family. So it kind of, rather than being the regular hero of, yes,
she's not idealistic
in
that way.
She's realistic.
Yeah.
She's going, well, this is the situation we're in, this is what I'm going to do to keep me safe, keep my family safe.
Yeah.
I don't care about anyone else, really.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like, yeah, if she could do something to help more people be safe, she would. But she's not going to risk everything unnecessarily, which, because you get that a lot with heroes, where they're kind of like, the world is bad and I must change everything about it, and I'm the one who can do this, you know, I'm chosen to do this. And again, it's nice to see someone just kind of go, you know what, I just really would like to put food on the table. And that's a big enough quest for me to deal with.
And probably one people could sympathise with more, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
I just need to pay the bills, man.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I need heating.
Also in the news, was there was something about a book by J.J. Abrams. I say by, it was his concept, but written by, I didn't take the writer's name down, I should have done that. But it seemed like an interesting concept. The idea is that this is supposed to be a book that's been left in a cafe, and then has been picked up by a woman who's written notes in it, and then by a guy who's written notes in it, and it goes back in two. So you as a reader get a book that has a story, but with, like, notes in the margins.
Which is really fun. That's
yeah.
a really fun concept.
It looks really really cool. So if you're in a bookshop, go flick through it, have a look. If you're into J.J. Abrams,
But I'm really...
no lens flare.
Oh my god, how will you know it's him? But I really like the idea. I really like the fact that he was kind of grounded, you know, down to earth enough to go, I've got an idea for a book, but at the end of the day, I've not got the time to devote to it. Maybe I'm not an actual author, you know, maybe because I am, you know, like I'm a screenwriter and I do TV. I'm not the best person.
Am I right in saying, though, that he actually doesn't do that much writing, though? Because I'd imagine that most of Lost... Was Lost written by him? Like,
I think he was
I'm
the
sure
creator.
most... Yeah, that's it. And he's, like, director / creator.
Maybe he's an ideas
Although
guy.
I think he wrote Super 8, though, so I suppose he's a screenwriter. I think you kind of have to be a bit if you're a director.
I just like the idea.
Yeah.
I like
He's got someone else written.
I like the idea of somebody famous going, I've got this idea and I want it to happen, but I'm okay with passing it on to someone, to the best person for the job. Yeah. And he's not gone ghostwriter on this. He's not got someone...
I imagine it's a collaboration.
Yeah. But I mean, you could have had someone, you know, secretly penning it and then he could have taken the credit, and he's not done that. And I think that's really awesome. He's kind of a stand-up guy for doing that and being honest about it. I think that's great.
Also in the news...
Is this my favourite news story ever?
Yes. 50 Shades of Herpes. They found traces of herpes and cocaine in copies of 50 Shades of Grey from the library.
And I'm not going to lie to you, we picked this entirely on the headline. We were like, I must talk
You say
about
we.
this.
You say
me,
we.
I saw it. And I can't remember exactly what it was. It was like...
It goes viral.
Yeah, 50 Shades goes viral, literally. And I started to knock it for using the word literally and not meaning it, and then I realised that actually that was correct use of the word literally, because there is literally a virus in the book.
Thing is, though, how much of this is to do with the book it is? Or, like, would it be possible to find these things in other library books?
Well, isn't there that thing about £20 notes?
Yeah, that they have a mild trace of cocaine.
Yeah, on like it's probably
an urban myth, I assume.
I guess it depends how new the notes are, doesn't it? If you've got an old £20 note, there's probably drugs on it. Yeah. Just saying. Just to burst your bubble there. Yeah, okay, if you want to get technical, maybe it's a common thing. Maybe
not the herpes.
Yeah, maybe not the herpes. But the cocaine, we're okay with that. You know, most British libraries have a cocaine app. That's completely normal. But I just love it.
Talking about drugs and books, have you heard about Snoop Dogs or Snoop Lions?
Oh no, don't even go there. You cannot change your name that many times. Pick one and stick with it. The rest of us have to.
But he wrote a book of, I think it's a book of poems.
He wrote a book
of poems. But you can tear out...
Oh, I did!
Yeah, you tear out a page and then you
can use it as roll paper.
You roll that for, obviously, cigarettes. Obviously,
yeah,
obviously not like tobacco.
Or medicinal.
I don't know why we're beating around... I don't know why we're beating around the bush. He certainly doesn't. If you've seen him, like, interviewed, he's just like, yeah, of course it's for my drugs, man.
Yeah. Well, isn't he the guy who has, like, doesn't he have, like, a purse? It's not actually, because I'm sure he has, like, a bag.
He's like, it's my man bag,
yeah.
my man purse.
And they're like, what's it for? And he's basically like, it's moustache. Like, that's what that's for.
Snoop line.
But, you know, way to multitask on the publication front there. Except you're similarly... I can't get my words out. You're, at the same time, you are creating work and destroying it.
Whoa.
Which is kind of balanced. It's deep, that.
Whoa, Snoop Dogg, you are more than meets the eye.
Yeah. Too meta for your own good there.
And the next piece of news was, like, really quite interesting. Like I said, it caught my eye earlier in the week. Because there was a big lawsuit against Google, who were trying to scan in masses of books. And if they lost, it would have cost them like over $1 billion to kind of pay back all the authors. Because obviously they're claiming it's against copyright. But what they're doing it for is, I think it's mainly educational books. It didn't specifically say.
Yeah,
but,
I got
yeah.
the impression we're talking more about academic literature here than just fiction.
I haven't used Google Books in a while, but you can find some interesting stuff in there. And, the court were in favour of Google in the end, saying, let's find the quote.
Well, while I was at university, in the dark ages, I found Google Books to be brilliant. It was kind of a lifesaver if you found a reference and you didn't have to do that thing where you get the reference off Amazon and then you try and take a quote from the book to make it look like you read the whole thing when really you never had the book in front of you, because Google gives you the book and you don't have to fake a reference. You can actually read the relevant, well, let's face it, like 3 pages you need for your essay, and at least, quote something you've legitimately read for a change.
So authors were asking for $750 for every book they'd scanned, which individually isn't a huge amount, but once you add up all the books, it was a lot, of $3 billion actually. But the judge said that they were. It made it easier for students, teachers, researchers, and the public to find books while maintaining respectful consideration for authors' rights. Yeah, I kind of agree. And they say that it also kind of furthers the sales of the books because they find exactly what they need and then they can go out and buy the book and then have more content.
But talking about the sale of the books, if we are correct in what we're saying, this is academic books. Those things are expensive.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even talking about, like, £20, say, for a book. Some academic books are going to be about £50. Like, not many get up to that sort of value. Some of them do. Like, I tended to buy...
There are some that can go even higher than that, a lot higher.
Yeah. I think some do, definitely. Like,
obviously it depends like what area you're in, I'd imagine.
The most expensive one I came across for any of my courses was at about the £75 mark, assuming I had bought that copy. If I had bought the most recent copy, which I didn't because I didn't have £75 to spend on a book. But I think for a lot of people, it's not feasible to buy books to get you through a degree. I just don't think many of us really have that as an option. So that you've got to turn to someone. I mean, you've got to find it somewhere. And what if all the copies are checked out of your library? What then?
Yeah, that was a big problem I had at uni. I don't think I bought anything for my course. It was all from the library. But there were times where what you needed was out and you were stuck.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'm okay with it.
Yeah. And I've heard stories as well. There's a story from someone who said, I paid this huge amount of money, ordered this book, and then what he got sent in the mail was an envelope with sheets of paper on, with instructions on where to download the book from.
Seriously?
Yeah. It's like,
oh, that's bad.
You're kidding me. I've spent this much money for a piece of paper to get a download copy.
No, that's really bad. That's terrible.
So seeing as we're on the subject, we're going to discuss downloading of books, copyright, ebooks, right or wrong. It's funny, like, when people mention this, the knee-jerk reaction is to say, I don't do it, it's stealing, no, it's very wrong, understandably, it's not legal, I should point that out now, unless it is given freely.
Yeah.
Something else about NaNoWriMo, stick around, pay attention to the emails if you're in it, because you can get invited to some pretty awesome webinars. I've watched two. The first was on self-publishing. It was really good, really interesting, just kind of really made me want to go for it and kind of rekindled my passion again, because I was thinking of abandoning my first book and going to the next one, and then I watched that and I went, nope, I'm going to keep on it.
I'm going to stick to it.
But one of the authors there, I believe he's the writer of Wool. You'll see it in bookshops now. It's one of those self-publishing success stories. He self-published, it did really well, and then got picked up by traditional publishers. But he said what he would do is... I know he didn't give it away, but he really was not bothered about people illegally downloading his book on BitTorrent or wherever. He said he had a donation page, and he said that sometimes people would donate like double, triple the value of the book because they downloaded it, read it, enjoyed it that much that they went, hey, I'm paying you back for this, plus I enjoyed it that much.
Yeah.
And he went, his kind of thoughts were, hey, if people want to get a hold of your book and read it, then that's a pretty good problem to have.
Well, I mean, the thing is, okay, the literary trade has been around for quite a while. Books are not now and never have been single use. It's never been a problem in the past that people are rereading the same copy of a book. So, I mean, maybe we're being a bit pessimistic by saying, well, if people are effectively rereading the same copy of a book in terms of that they're downloading it, that's just going to stop all sales, because I don't think it would. I mean, I mean, personally, I don't think I've ever like illegally downloaded a book, because I tend to think I want to support authors because I love books. That's kind of as simple as it is. And I know people talk a lot about the music industry in terms of like piracy and people kind of illegally sharing. And I remember it being this huge revelation to me to do with sort of like how you shouldn't really, like technically, you shouldn't really record music and burn CDs and that kind of thing. Or if you buy a CD, that gives you the right to listen to it, and if you give it to somebody else, they technically haven't got the right. I don't even know if that's accurate anymore, but it used to be, or perhaps that's just what my parents told me. And I would assume the same thing applies to books. But it's never seemed to damage the industry in the past, so I don't see why this would now, necessarily.
See, this is why people got angry at Xbox, to go a bit off topic again, because when they revealed that, oh no, it's got DRM on it, it's locked, only you can play it, it's stuck on your profile, so then not even other members of your family can watch it. But then they came out and said, oh no, there'll be a list of 10 people who can also play your version of the game. So if you want to lend it, you can, but at the same time, 10 is, for some, might be a very short number of people. Imagine if you have a family of 6 kids, where the mum and dad might also play it, and then they lend it to a couple of friends, instantly that game can't be shared anymore.
Yeah, and that's it, you're at a limit.
And then PlayStation came back and went, hey, this is how you lend games on the PS4, and then it was one man handing a disc to another.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
see what you did there.
And you stop and think, and they're so worried about resale and downloading. You're like, but this is the same. Like how long have we been buying books from charity shops and book fairs? You know, used books.
There's a whole industry.
Surely sharing books is a good thing, as long as you're passing it on, recommending to people, and keeping the industry going. As long as you're buying some books, you know, and passing them on, it's all good.
Well, if you borrow a book from someone and you like it, you might buy a copy. That's how it works. If someone plays you a song you like, you might go and track it down. Like, that is how this works. It's word of mouth, more or less. And I just don't see why it's causing such a panic suddenly. I mean,
look at something like this. Let's say I wanted to have a quick look at a book, not got time to go out, I'll download a copy, half read it and go, hey guys, this looks really good, go check it out. And people hear that and go, hey, I might check it out. Or next time they're in a bookshop, they remember and then they pick it up, and that's what you hope would happen.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't happen all the time, but
it's not
it evens
it's
out,
not
surely.
impossible.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I mean, it's all advertising. At the end of the day, if people are talking about a book, whether they're talking about a physical copy or an ebook, they're still talking about it. It's still promoting it. You've still got more people interested. I don't know. I think it's pessimistic to say that this is going to be like the ruin of authors, and it's going to do bad things to the industry, because you don't know that yet.
It changes the industry, but it doesn't ruin it.
No.
It keeps the wheels turning, and and that really surprised me. It wasn't just him as well in this webinar. It was the other authors that were there as well. They just said, I don't put DRM on my books so that if they buy it, they can then stick it on the computer, they can take it with them, they can give it to a friend, they can do whatever they want, they can copy that file, whatever, it's fine, it's cool, because they're sharing my book.
Which is kind of what you're aiming for at the end of the day. I mean, it would be great to kind of make a living out of selling a book.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. But I guess before that, the dream is kind of somebody else reading your book and liking it, and this is one of the ways you're going to get that happening.
I mean, just imagine if someone came to you and said, I heard about your book and I had to track it down, I downloaded it and then read it in one evening, and then you'd be like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, that's a compliment. You wouldn't go, well, you owe me £7 because you didn't pay for it. However, price is my fictional book there, my hypothetical book at £7.
It's very, very pricey.
I know,
very pricey
right?
for an ebook.
My imagination is totally worth that.
So we'll wrap up, I think, with one last question, which you proposed, and I don't know the answer to.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, I forgot this, yeah. This was at some point in time relevant to what we were looking at on a screen.
It was something about Vivienne Westwood autobiography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I was wondering, basically, whose autobiography would you like to read? If someone sat down and they wrote an honest autobiography, who do you want to read about? Who would be interesting to learn more about?
The first name that comes to mind is Robert Downey Jr.
For obvious reasons.
Yeah. No, because I think I've read a couple of autobiographies, because they always come your way. I've got two up there I've never read and probably will never read. It's the kind of thing you get given at Christmas.
Yeah, I've got to be honest, I don't like autobiographies.
It's like, hey, you like this guy? But some of them can be pretty interesting. I read Peter Kay, and he's like the total opposite of like the global explorer. He's the guy who he tried going to college and then got homesick and then came back home and then just got a regular job. But it was interesting and funny, and there was heart there, and it was kind of nice to hear him talk about his family. And then another one I've read is Russell Brand.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. Like, Russell Brand is someone who...
Because I like what he does with language, even just in conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't necessarily love the guy, but I like the way he uses words.
Well, that's it. I think if I was in the same room as him, he'd probably get on my nerves a bit. But I have a certain amount of respect for him. Like, he's been involved in, drugs. He's a sex addict, drug addict.
And he's been very
everything.
open about this.
Yeah, and that's kind of what he's earned my respect by being like that. But he's come out the other side of it as well,
Yeah. But there are instances where I think he's genuinely brilliant for a little while.
Yeah.
Like on the Big Fat Quiz of the Year, a few years ago when he was on a team with Noel Fielding, and they went on this rant about having the goth detective agency. Probably the funniest 20 minutes of TV I'd seen all year.
Might have spawned a bit of a film from me at uni. Not gonna lie.
Okay, maybe it was an influence.
Yeah, and he's kind of been in the news a bit for talking about voting and revolutions, which I've not seen yet, which I'm told I should go watch because it was quite interesting. But I think he's someone who has some interesting points to make, surprisingly.
But I think as well, given that he has had pretty active romantic life, you know, he's not reached that romantic life. Yeah, there's romance involved. There could be. You don't know. But like, I mean, take the whole Katy Perry relationship. That was a relationship. You can't.
Sorry, I can't hear her name without remembering the thing that came up on Tumblr, and it says her cat is called Kitty Perry.
It's the most perfect thing in the world, let's face it.
Sorry, carry
on. Well, even with all that going on, even we know that there have been these relationships and things, there are other celebrities I could mention who are far better known for, like, who they've slept with that week and what's gone on here. And yeah, people are aware that he's had issues in the past, but it's not what's focused on about him, which is surprising in some ways. Like, it says a lot about him that actually we don't necessarily focus on that.
I think it's because as a person he's calmed down in general a bit. Yeah. He's very eccentric, but I think he doesn't do the crazy stuff he used to. Even when he was like, because there was sort of a crossover when he was getting into radio and television. But he was still doing this mental stuff. But now I think a lot of that's behind him. And I think that's possibly why a Robert Downey Jr. autobiography might be interesting, because he's had a lot in the past, but now he's got up.
It's a proper like redemption-y kind of arc there. I would love to read. I'm not gonna lie, the person who sprung to mind was the Queen. I want to know how her life works. Like, what's that like waking up in Buckingham Palace?
Philip wound me up again today.
I seem to only have 7 corgis when on shore there were 8.
Corgi's got the flu. There's fucking mess everywhere.
I mean, I just love that. I'd love to know what the Queen, you know, like, what does she have for breakfast? What does the Queen eat? Because I know there's that thing where on food it can tell you if the Queen, if the Queen buys food from a company, it has a little seal on it that says by appointment to Her Majesty the Queen or something like that.
And then there's also, isn't there like a food range or a farm owned by like Prince Philip or someone?
It wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I'm sure Prince Philip's got a farm.
I think he's got his range of pâtés.
But yeah, that is exactly what he would have. I was going to check. I'm scanning the room right now for food items, right, to see if it had the little seal on, so I could tell you guys what it says. And all I could come across was this some Kopparberg, and I almost reached for it, and then thought, I really don't think the Queen.
Ritz. She might eat Ritz.
Yeah.
She might be into.
What about the Cadbury's? Maybe she has Cadbury's.
Oh, I don't think so.
It was English. She might.
This is a nice excuse to take a break and eat some chocolate.
Maybe have some chocolate there. She does not eat Ritz. Here you go. We've learnt that today.
Oh no, I just say, by appointment to HM the Queen, Cocoa and Chocolate Manufacturers Cadbury UK Limited.
So the Queen eats Cadbury.
So she eats it?
Well, she buys it.
Interesting.
I don't think it necessarily means she eats giant buttons. But I'd love it if she did.
See, just imagining her doing anything normal is just amusing.
Like sitting there with a cup of tea. Does the Queen have a onesie? Is that a thing? Does she ever have the occasion to be in her pyjamas and a tiara at the same time? These are all important questions I want to know. Could she, theoretically, I mean, I'm guessing this would be some sort of legal tangling to this sort of scenario, but if she took a dislike to somebody that was strong enough, could she technically have them executed? Would that work? Could she pull that off still? She is our Queen. Don't answer the question, that would ruin it.
If she requested it from the government, I believe they would deny.
I think, I feel like
however, if something happened,
I don't think they could pull her up for it because she makes the laws. I feel, you have to play the Queen card sooner or later. Like, I bet she wins. Or like imagine playing Monopoly against the Queen, right? Because at the end of the day, she probably owns London. Oh, well, okay, not technically, but still, at the end of the day, if you're trying to convince the Queen that she owes you rent for a hotel you had placed on Mayfair, I just don't think that. So the Queen, really, I'd love to know more about her life.
Tell you what, if they suddenly aren't royals anymore and all their money is taken from them, they'll make it back by selling autobiographies of the Queen.
I would hate that, you know. I mean, I'm not like, okay, to my knowledge, I'm not like a royalist. I don't think. I love the fact that we have, like, how cute is it? And brilliant. And, like, I don't know, how historically brilliant is it that we still have a royal family and a proper royal family that act like actual royalty, and who would make me feel messy even if I spent 3 hours getting ready to meet one of them and I wouldn't know what to say and I wouldn't know how to curtsy, and I'm assuming I'd ever have an opportunity to meet some royalty here, but I don't know, kind of like it. It's fun, it's quaint, it's very British. We wouldn't be England without a Queen.
You pay like 20p a week to them, I think.
Who would be on our coins?
Yeah,
that's a question.
I was about to say, well, the Canadians have hockey players, but they also have the Queen. So that doesn't really help.
Well, even Americans, they have the president. I don't think we want the prime minister on our currency.
No. Oh, God.
Well, there's 2 of them now. What on earth would they do there?
Oh, have it with them holding hands.
Oh, no. With their party appropriately coloured ties, like they always have.
Before we finish, I've decided I'm going to mention the comics that I bought.
Go for it.
Because they're
like
books. No, it's fine.
Oh,
we've not even done this yet. We've still got, there's so much to do.
Oh, go on then.
I'm going to briefly mention the comics. I've picked up Pretty Deadly from by Kelly Sue DeConnick, who writes Captain Marvel at the moment. She also writes Avengers Assemble. She wrote a lot of New Avengers. She's really funny, really good. It's not got going yet. Let's see how that goes. I've read Sex Criminals by Matt Fraction, who's also the writer of the current Hawkeye comics.
Which has a really awesome cover, I have to say.
But it reminds me of it's a similar theme to the Vaginal Fantasy, Felicia Day's book club thing.
Oh, is it? There's obviously a lot of that going around these days.
But it's really interesting. It's pretty cool. Obviously, it's like 18 plus. It's all like about sex and a lot of sexual content.
Criminality as well, I should think.
But it's got a really kind of healthy view of things, and I'm really intrigued about where it's going. Because I'm trying to figure out if she's got a power or something. It's really strange. But the other reason to mention them is that I'm going to meet them tomorrow in Manchester.
I know.
Because they're doing a signing. So, I was
some
going to announce
of us,
this, but this won't be out. This will be out after the signing, so this doesn't help.
So retroactively, you've met them yesterday.
Yes.
Which is great. While I was stuck on the phones at work for 8.5 hours. Yay.
So I'm looking forward to that, because I follow them both on Tumblr, and all the Marvel writers are absolute sweethearts. Like, they're so nice and cool and awesome. I love them.
Oh, that's so nice though. It must be really cool to get to meet someone you're a fan of. I've never met any of my
I probably won't be able to say anything, but I've got to pick up comics and hope I bought a Hawkeye one. I don't know if I got around to it, because I couldn't start from one. I'm sure I've got a Captain Marvel one though. Anyway, time to decide book club book.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a China Miéville book because I read Perdido Station, and he really mixes up genres. Just his writing is so different from anything else I'd read before, so I thought it was worth having a look.
Definitely.
Spoke to some friends, asked to get recommendations, because the one I kind of wanted to read, I wasn't sure if it was the best choice, the best to talk about. So our friends suggested The City and the City or Embassy Town. And I went and I thought I'd bought what they suggested, and ended up getting Railsea instead. So I came back and realised I had the wrong one.
Railsea, Embassy.
Yeah,
I can see why you did that.
So I figured if we pick one, I've started reading the Railsea, but I can put it on hold and go for the other one, because this is the one that was recommended.
If that was the one that was recommended, It must have been recommended for a reason.
Okay.
And note that you got a recommendation, so you went out and bought the book.
Exactly.
Link that back to what we were
Yeah.
saying sooner. Check that one out.
Woo! With my Waterstones card.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I got a new one because I had to ditch the last one after going to Canada.
Fair enough.
But the point system's pretty good because by the time, just before Canada, I managed to buy a book with my points.
Oh my gosh, did you?
Yes.
I've never even checked how many points I have on my Waterstones card.
Probably more than you think.
Yeah.
I've been told that they're good by, at least by game standards.
Ah, well, there you
Apparently
go.
the points on the game cards take forever. Okay, so we think The City in the City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also really like that as a title. That's catchy.
Yeah. I love the covers. Not that you can see this, but
Just hold it up to the microphone, just in case.
you can see. But from what I've read of Railsea, that seems quite fun.
Yeah.
It seems almost YA, but not really.
Well, I'm up for this.
It's steampunk, and the whole premise is that instead of ships on the ocean, it's trains on what they call the land sea. Because there's moles and other creatures that dig in, so it's dangerous to go too near or to like step on it. So you can step on it, but things will probably eat you.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a little bit Tremors-esque, and I'm well up for some of that. I know that's the book we're not reading, but still.
And surprisingly quick, easy read so far, compared to his last one, which took some getting into.
Yeah.
But, so The City in the City.
That's what we're going to go
yeah.
for. Yeah. Well, because I had planned to read, is it Velen?
Yeah.
Which I will now read. Out loud. And so.
Well, shall I? I'll continue reading this, or shall I? Oh no, I'll make a start on this.
Yeah, you go, because I'll have to. So
Yeah.
I'll go for some Velen, and then I'll steal that one off you also.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan. I like that.
Yeah. I think we're all wrapped up.
Are we good?
Yeah, we're good. We've talked
Awesome.
about everything. Would you like to make any recommendations, seeing as I've mentioned comics before we go?
I see. The thing is, I've not been reading a massive amount recently. I mean, the one thing that I've got waiting for me that I'm quite excited about is I've got Kelly Armstrong has written. It's quite an established series, which was the Women of the Otherworld series, which she finished at 13 books, and I love this to death. At some point, I would love to talk more about it, possibly make Emma read some of it. But it's like the first two books follow on, so it's the same characters in both, and then it expands a bit. You see more supernaturals, more of the world. But the idea is, with the first two, is that it's centering around werewolves. And when I say werewolves, I mean to say there are about 20 of these in existence in the world. Like, that's it. So it's almost believable that they are living in secrets I think they're in upstate New York, to be honest with you. That's where the pack is, and then there's like rogue wolves around as well. But like I say, tops it out at about 20 wolves. And I just love it. I think it's brilliant. It's like an urban fantasy style series. And she's very brilliant for adding bits on her website. She has little novellas, little extra bits you can come and see. Some of these she's now printed for charity, I believe. And so the one I've got is Tales of the Otherworld, is the one that I've got waiting for me now on my bookshelf for when I get a chance. And I'm really, really excited to read it. And I know that's a bit silly because technically the long plot arc of the series is over, so it's not really going to add anything earth-shattering, but I'm still excited. It's just brilliant to have it there.
Okay, well maybe we'll do another swap thing, so I'll take a look at one of those, seeing as I've had a suggestion this time around.
Yeah, well, I think you probably like the second book in terms of that it's just a bit. Basically, there's it's hard to say without saying, but there's a bit of a gamer plotline in there as well, which is kind of cool. But yeah, there you go.
Cool. Well, that's us.
Yeah.
The Bug Dragons.
We'll see you guys soon.
Yeah. If you want to email questions, I'm sure you'll find us. But our email is bookdragonspodcast@gmail.com. That's probably the best way to say whatever you want to say.
Yeah, and Emma will duly answer you because I'm the lazy one who does nothing. Except turn up at Emma's house and just go, right, go on then, point a microphone at us.
It's alright, you've got the pronunciation, so you've got the radio voice and I'll take care of the rest.
Yeah.
Like...
I like that. I like that that's why you chose me. Actually, that's how I got my job as well.
Yeah.
I've got a good voice. Apparently.
Right, that was us. Have a good week, guys. Bye!
Bye!